Say hi to Buddy, guys. Just hanging out with me for the video. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Miami Dolphins Syndicate. Jacob here, and instead of my normal review, I decided to spice things up a little bit. What we have for you is the 5 things we learned after the Miami Dolphins went up to Buffalo to take on the Buffalo Bills. Starting off, number 1, the Buffalo Bills are just better. Now, after that Week 3 game down here in Miami, it was a little bit of an overreaction. We were a little bit giddy as Miami Dolphins fans to say that we were better than the Buffalo Bills. Now, don't get me wrong. Outstanding win. I was there. I loved it. It was electric. The Rock was on fire that day. I can't stress enough. That was a wonderful game and a great moment for the Dolphins to overcome the Buffalo Bills, a team we hadn't beaten in 5 years. It was great. But if you actually just take a look at the game, the Bills did have better stats in literally every statistical category outside the fact that we won the ball game. Now, that's what matters at the end of the day. Who wins and who loses, it's a game. That's what matters. You could put up 1,000 yards, but if you lose, you lose. But if we're being objective, if we're being realistic, the Bills are a better team. They can just win in a multitude of ways. Starting with their quarterback, Josh Allen, 300 yards, their leading rusher. He is probably the best athlete in the NFL right now, especially what he's doing for his team. If we're just looking objectively at the MVP award, at most valuable, Josh Allen is the most valuable player to his team probably in the NFL. Without him, this team looks a lot differently than obviously with him. He is outstanding. They rely on him for everything. 150 yards total rushing. He had about half of that, 77 yards. And you look at the receiving game. We did a good job relatively of keeping Stephon Diggs down. Only had 5 catches, 60 yards. But then Dawson Knox, 6 catches, 98 yards and a touchdown. Gabe Davis, 4 for 56. Singletary, 3 for 28. On the offensive side of things, they just have so much weaponry. They have so much ability to just find guys, move the ball down the field at ease. And they don't really have a run game outside of Josh Allen. They just find a way to make it work. And now on the defensive side of things, Trey White being back is huge for them. Had a really good game. Poyer had a good game. So they're the better team, as much as it sucks to admit it. Number 2, Tua handled the cold. Now, that was something that was definitely a concern of me. And if we're being realistic, all of us Dolphins fans, that should have been a concern going into the ball game. I made a video last week with my concerns about Tua after the loss to the Chargers. And we have to accept some truths about Tua. But he did go out and handle himself very well against the Bills. Was 17 of 30, 230 yards, 2 touchdowns, didn't throw an interception, had a 105 passer rating. He played well. He is not the reason we lost that game. Now, there is things that he cannot do. He's not going to throw the team on his back and lead us in the way Josh Allen does. But he doesn't have to be that. We've seen quarterbacks around this league win with much less talent. We've seen Joe Flacco, Trent Dilfer win Super Bowls. We've seen Jimmy Garoppolo with the 49ers, what he's been able to do. With Brock Purdy, what he's doing now with the 49ers. I think Tua is better than all those quarterbacks that I just mentioned. He doesn't have to be Superman. He doesn't have to be Mahomes, Herbert, Burrow. He doesn't have to be those guys to be a good, effective quarterback. When he does what he's asked to do, he's a very good quarterback. There's a reason why he's been in MVP discussion this season. I think that's a bit giddy. Maybe pump the brakes on that a little bit and now kind of have to, especially how Jalen Hurts has been playing. Josh Allen's been playing. Patrick Mahomes has been playing. Mahomes went like 20 passes straight without an incompletion. He's not the MVP, but he was asked to do he did what he was asked to do. And then there was a concern with the weather. How is the snow going to affect him? How is the wind going to affect him? Now, the snow didn't show up to the fourth quarter. The wind really wasn't too much of a factor, but when the weather did roll around, he still made some throws. He still made that throw rolling to his left, hitting Tyreek Hill, that lob pass to Cedric Wilson. I don't know why we went away from the run game, which I'll get into probably a little bit later. I don't know why we did that on the last drive, but Tua did what he was supposed to do. He was efficient. He got the ball out of his hands quickly, got to the hands of our playmakers, had 2 touchdowns, got him Tyreek Hill, got to Jalen Waddle. Tua played a good game against the Buffalo Bills. Number 3, the secondary is the weakest point of this team. Now, most of the season, we've thought that the offensive line was the weaker part of the team, but the offensive line did a decent job. And talking about the running game, I'll get into that a little later. The offensive line did a great job blocking for RAHEEM MOSTERT and kept Tua mostly upright. mostly. But the secondary, man, how many times do I have to see Keon Crossan on the other team's best receiver? It's really getting frustrating watching that happen. And now it is expected that the secondary is as weak as it is, having the injuries that we do, Trill Will, Nick Needham, Brandon Jones, Byron Jones. It makes sense that the secondary is the weakest point of the team. But with the nature of the NFL right now, that's just not good enough. We are not getting good enough performances out of our secondary, and it's really been the younger guys like the Keon Crossan. Kader Kohou's had a great season this year. At one play, the pass interference brings them down to within the 10-yard line. Then they have a loop-de-doop field goal to win the game. The secondary has cost us so much this season. It's just a wonder where we would be if the secondary was at full strength and we were able to contend with all the guys that these last few teams have brought out. Look at the weaponry that the 49ers, the Chargers, and now the Bills have. If we had a better secondary, we probably win at least one of those ball games. Number 4, RAHEEM Mostert lives. RAHEEM Mostert had 17 carries, finally had a rusher go back over 100 yards, 136 yards, had a single completion, 20 yards, caught it behind the line of scrimmage, made a couple guys miss, and had a really good game on that play. Had that long rush of 67 yards. RAHEEM Mostert, we need to see more of that. We need to see more of that from RAHEEM Mostert in the run game this season. Jeff Wilson, hopefully, is going to be back next week against the Packers. We need the rushing attack to be alive. Nobody's going to care about your play action if you can't run the ball. If you're just running it straight into the other team's defensive line, gaining 3 yards or so on a 4-man rush, they're allowed to play Tampa 2 and play their linebackers further back than they normally would. Why would you do otherwise? If you know your defensive line can suffice to stop the other team's offensive rushing attack, why rush anybody more than 4 or 5 on obvious rushing situations? Now, if you have a consistent running game, if we can replicate what we saw on Saturday night, that is going to be a game changer. I don't know if Jalen Waddle gets as wide open as he did on that touchdown if it were not for the rushing attack. He caught it maybe a little bit more than 25 yards down the middle of the field, but 15 to 25 in the middle of the field is where we've gotten so much of our action this year. And I'm sure the rushing attack, having the success that it did, at least helped a little bit get him that wide open on that play. If it can continue, if we can run the ball, if we can control the clock, and if we can then roll out the play action and then look to hit guys over the top, this is going to be a real scary team to come against in the playoffs. And then number 5, no need to panic. Now, after a 3-game losing streak, it's very easy to really start looking around, pointing fingers, and asking what's wrong. But despite that 3-game losing streak, despite even if we go on and lose on Christmas Day to the Packers, we still control our own destiny. That's all you can ask for. 2 games left in the season, you control your own destiny. The Patriots and the Jets losing on Sunday really helped us out. If we just beat them, really, if we just beat one of them, it might be enough. Because right now we're in the 7th spot. The 2 of them on the outside looking in as things stand. Really, if we beat, maybe, I guess we need more help than just that, than just beating one of them. But for sure, if we beat both of them, then we're in. It is no time to panic. We just came against the 3 best teams on our schedule. 3 teams that have incredible offenses, that have some nice defensive pieces on the other side. 49ers, probably the best team in the league. The Eagles look great. The Chiefs look great. I think the 49ers just might go on and win the Super Bowl. The Chargers were as healthy as they've been all season long. And then the Bills, Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, it speaks for itself. It makes sense that we lose those games. It obviously stings. You don't want to lose. But it happens. It's part of the game. We're sitting here 8-5, 3 games left, and we control our own destiny. Best case scenario, really, most realistically, is the number 5 seed. And I would love that because that means you're probably playing against the Titans. Honestly, I'd rather play the Titans than the Jaguars at this point. The Jaguars are a game back. I'm not sure who controls the tiebreaker there, but I'd say the Titans win that division. I feel really good going into Tennessee. Let's say the Ravens somehow win the AFC North. I really like our chances going into Baltimore. This is not a time to panic. It stings to lose games, but ultimately we control our own destiny. We looking sharp. We played better than I expected us to. I predicted a loss, but we even looked better than I expected us to in that game. So RELAX, relax. Let's see how the rest of the season plays out. we should definitely still make the playoffs at this point in the season. Thank you all for tuning into 5 things we've learned against the Buffalo Bills. A little bit of a different review. Let me know down in the comments, which type of review do you like? Do you like a more traditional review where I'm just rolling and speaking about what happened in the game, kind of just thoughts of consciousness, whatever that term is, just kind of just rolling off the dome? Or do you like something like this? Please let me know down below. Let me know your thoughts on the game. Donovan's be coming out with a film review probably tomorrow, maybe Wednesday, so look out for that. Another live stream from Donovan here on Miami Dolphins Syndicate. But thank you all very much for watching. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and make sure to have a great rest of your day. Take care, everybody.